Hey, today let's talk about the best business checking accounts. You need to know this if you're a small business owner, freelancer, you have a side gig, a hobby, or you're just basically an entrepreneur. And if you're like me, sometimes it helps to know what the best options are so that you feel a lot better going into your business. That way you could just be confident that your bank account is the best one for you, and then you could just focus on what you do best, and that's making money. So why even use a business bank account? There's a few reasons. Separation. To put it very simply, logistically, it's very important for you to actually separate your personal money and your business money. That also includes the expenses, meaning how you're actually spending your money. It should be very clear if you're spending something on behalf of your personal needs versus spending something on behalf of your actual business. And that leads into the next thing, which is cash flow. Separating your personal and business accounts allows you to focus on the exact money that's coming in and the exact money that's going out for your business. Again, this pertains to cash flow, and it'll become really important down the road, especially when you're looking for lines of credit, otherwise known as LOCs. As you grow your business throughout the years, there's going to be many times when you actually need to borrow money in order to actually cover some costs and to make more money. And by the way, just because you have to borrow money doesn't necessarily mean that your business is in bad shape. There's a ton of businesses that operate in debt, and especially if you're using it to actually grow your business, grow your operations, and basically scale up from there, it can end up paying dividends in the long run. And now this leads into your actual taxes. Yes, you have to legally think about the tax implications of running your business, and you also have to think about liability. Besides taxes, the main point about separating personal versus business, again, you want to protect yourself, and that's with any legal troubles, any liabilities, anything that can come your way. And the last main point is just really about being professional. Serious operations, whether you're a one-man, one-woman show, or if there's more employees, having invoices, expenses, and just your entire operations flow in and out of your business bank accounts, that's how you should start your business and hopefully carry on through the years as it continues to grow. All right, now that we went through that brief overview, let's quickly cover the criteria of how I actually determined what the best business checking accounts actually are. The first criteria is it has to be easy to open online. I know a ton of you are really lazy and you don't want to step outside and you just want to do this from the comfort of your own home using a desktop, a laptop, or some form of tablet, and then you just want to be able to sign up quickly on the spot right there. That's exactly how I felt too when I opened up my very first bank account, so I made sure to put that criteria in there. The next one is open membership. So these accounts have to be open for anyone and there can't be any types of restrictions. For example, a common one is requiring you to actually be in the military. So I made sure not to include that because I want these to be as universally available as possible. But if you are in the military and you're on active duty, then make sure that you do look into those options because sometimes those may be better for you. Transaction limitations. When you receive money for your product or your service, your goods, that's going to count as a transaction. Also, when you pay other people, could be partners, different vendors, that's going to count as a transaction as well. So just after analyzing the entire landscape of all the business checking accounts out there, I realized that the number that's probably fair for you is having a bank account that gives you at least 100 transactions per month for free. Also, a low balance requirement. And I try to make this as realistic as possible because there's a ton of different bank accounts out there that require you to keep at least $3,000, $4,000, sometimes $5,000 plus per month in the account in order to waive fees. And I don't think that's realistic for a lot of people out there because even if you are making money, that's still a stressful number to have to maintain every month in your account. And don't worry, there's a lot of options here where there's actually no minimum requirement. Last criteria, it's not really a formal criteria, it's just my recommendation to you, is to always have a bank account where you can actually physically go outside, get in your car, and actually drive to a local physical branch. And if you could choose just one bank where you have to physically go outside and have a relationship with a local business branch manager, then I highly recommend you look into a credit union in your local area. Without going into too much detail, you're going to get really good service and generally it's going to be more personal for you. But on the flip side, there's also a ton of national banks out there that have different experiences. I can tell you right now that it really depends on who your local branch manager is. So hopefully the local branch managers, whether they're from local small credit unions or they're from national banks, hopefully the ones in your area are actually a really good fit for you. The first one is Chase Total Business Checking. And honestly, if anyone asks me for which national bank they should go with if they have to go with the national bank, 9 times out of 10, I actually recommend Chase to them. They do have a $15 monthly fee, but you can waive this. Just maintain a minimum daily balance of at least $1,500. And they allow 100 transactions per month for free, unlimited electronic deposits. Most of the other fees, the common fees that they have in their account, they're very comparable to other national banks out there. I would say the biggest advantage that Chase has compared to a lot of national banks out there is their actual physical presence. You have access to up to 16,000 ATMs and nearly 4,900 physical branches. Chances are within a 10-mile radius, there is going to be either a Chase ATM or a physical branch near you. And it's very common for them to offer a $500 bonus. To get the bonus, here's what you have to do. Obviously, open up a total business checking account with Chase and then deposit $2,500 into the account within the first 20 business days. And then you just have to leave it in there for at least 60 days. And during those 60 days, you just have to complete at least 5 qualifying transactions. So hopefully you're getting some activity within the first 60 days, whether you have to purchase something or whether your business is actually making some money. US Bank Silver Business Checking Package. This is a really popular banking option, but honestly, I can't really find that much of an advantage compared with Chase. They do offer 125 transactions per month for free versus Chase, which offers 100. And there's also a few little things in there, but honestly, I don't think it's large enough. The margin is large enough for you to ever choose one or the other. So it really comes down to personal preference, meaning that if you have a nearby US Bank or a Chase, then you should visit the local branches and see which branch manager fits your style. Axos Basic Business Checking. They have a $1,000 minimum opening deposit. There's no monthly maintenance fees. And in terms of transactions, they actually offer you 200 free transactions per month. The only downside to this when you compare it with the national bank is that Axos doesn't have its own ATMs, meaning that they don't have their own branded ATMs. They use Allpoint. If you care about the numbers, there's about 55,000 Allpoint ATMs nationwide. So it really depends on what you need. I mean, if you have to go to the ATM a lot and that's something that's just really annoying, then obviously this is not good for you. And there's also a $50 welcome bonus that you can check out when you go to their website. PNC Business Checking. $100 minimum deposit just to open up the account. 150 free transactions per month. There is a $10 monthly account fee, but there are ways to waive it. You just have to meet one of these 3 requirements. Keep an average monthly balance of $500, or use a PNC business credit card to make $500 in purchases, or maintain a PNC merchant services account and generate at least $500 in monthly deposits. Honestly, the easiest one is probably the first one. So instead of opening up the account with $100, if you can, just put in $500 and that can just make all of this go away. And they do offer a $200 sign-up bonus. All right, so those are the options that are more traditionally based, meaning that if you talk to a lot of business owners out there, then they've heard of at least one of those bank accounts. Now let's cover some banks that are online only with mobile apps, of course, and they just represent the next generation of business bank accounts. So the first one is Azlo. No minimum balance requirements, no overdraft fees, which is actually pretty unusual because a lot of banks out there, they will charge you an overdraft fee. Hopefully you don't ever need this, because if you're overdrafting in your business bank account, then that's going to be super stressful for you, and I don't like the sound of that. No maintenance fees, no transaction fees. And what do they mean by that? They actually allow unlimited transactions, but there still are some limitations here, such as you can't withdraw more than $1,000 from an ATM. ACH payments are limited to $300,000 per day, and some other stuff. So just make sure that you're looking at the schedule of fees and all of the limitations to make sure that it stays up to date and it doesn't drastically change. I definitely recommend that for banks like this and the ones I'm about to recommend, and honestly the ones I recommended before, because they can change those limitations and the criteria anytime. There is one drawback to Azlo, and because they are an online only bank and they don't have their own branded ATMs, you can't really operate with cash. And by that, I mean you can't directly deposit cash into your Azlo bank account. And they don't offer checkbooks. So obviously, if you receive cash as a business, then that could be a potential problem for you. Continuing on with their other fees though, here's a really interesting thing. They have no incoming wire fees. Keep in mind that banks usually charge you for this, even if it's a domestic wire. Domestic wires are anywhere from $5 to $15, and international ones will be more than that. So if you get any domestic or international wires coming into your Azlo business checking account, then you don't have to pay any types of fees. There is a drawback to this though. They can't directly send out wires. However, they do allow integration with a company called TransferWise. TransferWise essentially allows you to send payments internationally. And that's a good segue into actually talking about TransferWise, because they actually have their own business checking account as well. So just a quick history on TransferWise, if you've never heard about them, they really got popular because they served as an alternative to PayPal. For anyone who's super old school and they use PayPal to run their businesses, maybe some of you do that now, but back then, a lot of people had PayPal as their only option to actually operate their money overseas. And the thing that sucked was PayPal had expensive fees, but there was nothing you could do because there was no alternative. And that's where TransferWise came in. And they got popular because they had much lower fees compared to PayPal while doing the exact same thing. So if your business has tons of foreign transactions, you send and receive overseas, international countries in multiple currencies, then you should definitely look into TransferWise TransferWise's business account. Now, just continuing the list of new online business banking options for you, there's one called Mercury. This one's fun because there's basically no fees, no minimum balance requirements, no opening deposit requirements, no overdraft or hidden fees, no transaction fees, no ACH fees. And similar to Azlo, the one that we just talked about, all domestic and international incoming wires, those are free. With Mercury, you can send domestic and international wires, but you do have to pay a fee. $5 for outgoing domestic wires and $20 for outgoing international wires. I mean, those are expected. Outgoing wires are going to cost you money, but besides that, it seems like they seriously have no fees. And because they're online only, you can't deposit cash. So like I mentioned, if cash is important to you and you get a lot of cash in your business and you need to find a way to deposit cash into your actual account, you can't do that with Mercury. Otherwise, if that doesn't really matter for you, then this could still be a really good option for you. And they have another really interesting thing about their account. Besides their checking account, they actually do have a savings account as well that you can open up. And that savings account gives you 0.25% APY. It's not an amazingly high interest rate, but compared to direct business savings accounts, it's actually pretty good. And if you do reach $250,000 in deposits, meaning that you have $250,000 in your bank account, the interest on your savings account does go up from 0.25% to 0.95%. The next one is Novo. Minimum opening deposit is just $50. Besides that, no monthly fees or minimum balance requirements, but they do have a $27 overdraft fee. A lot of the national banks out there, and honestly most banks out there for businesses, this is standard. We're just spoiled because we just talked about Azlo and Mercury right now that don't have overdraft fees. Otherwise, there's a lot of good positives about this account too. Free transfers and incoming wires. And they also integrate with TransferWise too. So you can send and receive money domestically and internationally. They don't have their own ATMs because obviously they're online only, but they do also refund all ATM fees. So if you like these newer banks, these newer fintech type companies that are just popping up out of nowhere and they're just trying to eliminate all branches, then I would seriously consider these three that I just mentioned: Azlo versus Mercury versus Novo. Whether you're thinking about a business, you just started one recently, or you've been in operation for years, it's always good to see what business checking options are out there so you can make the most of your money.